This new pack is about to actually change Master Duel. If you still need a beautiful playmat, you can go to zerodamagegaming.com and use the code Solemn for a discount. There's these new cloth ones, like 2-player. There's also this brand new one, very awesome. And there's of course also deck boxes. Use the code Solemn for a discount. So right here, upcoming selection pack, Flame of Fury. This is coming out on October 10th. So we have 4 days before this baby hits. And not only does this bring us Kashtira, which a lot of people were already looking forward to. We recently got Fenrir and Unicorn, but by themselves they are not a real deck. However, it has more. It also has Rescue Ace. Now, Rescue Ace is a crazy powerful deck. It currently is the best deck in the OCG. It is one of the better decks in the TCG. And once we have the new set in the TCG, it might actually become the best deck. So, or at least it's at least going to be top 3. The question, of course, is going to be like, do we get it at full power or are we going to be missing cards? Because at full power, Rescue Ace might actually be in the top 3 decks right here. Now, we also have... What the hell? Why? We also have Evigishki. This card does nothing. Like, I mean, Gishki cards are cute. People like Gishki Sprite and whatever the fuck, but like, this is not really gonna do much. But again, Rescue Ace Turbulence right here. This card is crazy. Essentially, what it says is set 4 cards from your deck. And one of that is an Imperm, one of that is a Pop, and then 2 more like special summon stuff, one from Grave, one from deck or something like that. You know, they summon stuff and those things and also have effects. One of them is like a big Book of Moon. So in terms of going first, this whole deck is basically about resolving this one card to set 4 cards. Now, will we have all of the support? That's a big question. Again, on Kashtira, we got half the cards and the deck did fucking nothing, like predicted. But if we get all the cards for Rescue Ace, this will be one of the best decks. Now, I've kind of glossed over the fact that we're getting a Rise Heart, because obviously, like, we all know how toxic this card is. And yes, I actually think Kashtira is going to be a good deck, but there's a caveat. Let's get to that later, though. Then we have Prediction Princess Tarot Tree. This is cute if you like these types of cards, sure, but this is, again, not going to be that much of a meta threat. And finally, we have Triple Tactics Thrust. This one I did not see coming. This is one of the craziest Yu-Gi-Oh cards of all time. It says if your opponent has activated a monster effect this turn, set 1 normal trap or spell directly from your deck, or if your opponent controls a monster, you can add it to your hand instead. So what happens? Your opponent hand traps you, you can now set any spell or trap in the game, as long as it's a normal one, you know. So there are some broken cards you can randomly set if the meta is very focused. Like, for example, if you are expecting a lot of Pearly and maybe even Kashtira, that's a bunch of XC stuff. So whenever you get hand trapped, you could activate Triple Tactics Trust and set a D barrier. That seems pretty toxic. However, if you don't want to run a card that's only good going first, you could also just set an Imperm, which is still fine. However, going second, this searches any spell in the game. Like, your opponent could resolve any card, whether it's a Rise Heart, which is forced to resolve all the time, so your Trust will always be live, or Noir, because the big kitty draws cards in standby phase, this card is also live, and then you can literally look for any card in the game. Whatever you want. You want Tactics, you get Tactics. You want Raigeki, you get Raigeki. You want Dark Hole, you get Dark Hole. You want Feather Duster, you get Feather Duster. You want Change of Heart, you get Change of Heart. You want Pot of Prosperity to look through your deck, that's fine too. So this card is crazy. In a TCG right now, it's one of the best non-engine cards in the game, and now Master Duel is finally getting it. So I think we're gonna be pulling on this back for sure, because the Rescue Ace cards are crazy, the Kashtira cards are crazy, and Thrust is absolutely crazy. Now, getting again to like the big boogeyman in the room, Kashtira, a Rise Heart. This card says any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So this is a macro Cosmos on legs. Any deck that needs their graveyard gets fucked. It also has the effect that whenever something is banished, it can attach that. So this card like will have a billion material if you don't get rid of it. And finally, it also says that it can banish something face down once per turn. So this is a crazy boss monster. And this is the reason that Kashtira was the best deck for so long, super toxic. But, the big but in the room. They say here, note that Pressured Planet Raidsot and Tearlament's Kashtira will be limited to 1 upon release. Now, Tearlament's Kashtira being limited doesn't really matter. Kashtira didn't tend to play this card, usually like 1 or 0. So this doesn't matter. This is mostly because I guess Master Duel really doesn't want Tier to ever have a shot anymore. But right here, Raidsot at 1, that is a big issue for Kashtira, because in the TCG, when the deck was at its full power and doing all of its stuff, it had triple Pot of Prosperity, which it doesn't have here. It had triple Raidsot, which it doesn't have here. It had Terraforming, which it doesn't have here. It had Unicorn at max, it had Fenrir at max. Everything was maxed out. And even then, Kashtira was considered to be pretty bricky. Now imagine, you have 1 Prosp, you only have, what, 2 Fenrir. Do you have a hit on Unicorn as well? You have 1 Raidsot, you have all of this stuff so limited, Kashtira is gonna be a bricky mess of a deck. And I had like my little trick. My Yugioh deck basically was the more important one, where I would go Tomahawk, make a bunch of tokens, make a Yugioh to draw deeper into my deck to try and get to my Kashtira combo. So that is like an option. It's cute. It's a way to make the deck more consistent. But without something like that, Kashtira is truly gonna be a brickfest. And I'm not sure if it's fixable, you know, like we can play, I guess, Pot of Extravagance and just play triple Kashtira Arise Heart, so, you know, get your gems ready. I guess we can play Desires. I guess we can play Planet Pathfinder, worst case. There's a bunch of stuff going through my head now. You know, some might be better than others, but this deck will have a consistency issue. And on top of that, and I think this is very important, Pearly actually shits on Kashtira. Not many people realize this. They think like, oh no, my memories will get banished, so my Pearlily will be dead and so forth. And that is like true, but Pearly is like a naturally good match into Kashtira because you're forced to use Arise Heart's Banish on their field spell. And if you don't, then they can just play freely. Like, the Kashtira cards do nothing under Stray Pearly Street. They're all targeting. And then all you have to do is make an Xyz, wipe their entire board with Zeus or eat it up with Beauty and so forth, like Happiness, boom, boom, bam. You beat Kashtira for essentially free if you're pretty good with Pearly. So if Pearly is already the best deck right now by a landslide, and beyond that, people are already forced to play outs for Pearly Noir, like Thrust, like Herald of the Abyss, like Xyz and Core, whatever people are playing, then Kashtira is in this odd spot right now where it's gonna be far less consistent while simultaneously consistently losing to Pearly. So I'm not so sure if the coming of Kashtira is actually that insane. Now, of course, I hate this card. I think it's gonna be like as a card, Arise Heart is ridiculous. But I don't know. I don't know. It might still be just Pearly on top as the best deck. And then right after, it might be Kashtira. Or, if the Rescue Ace cards come in full swing, it might be Pearly as the best deck, then Rescue Ace, and then Kashtira. Now, of course, that is still shaking up the meta. Still excited for it. This pack looks to be a home run. You know, we're getting our Kashtira cards, we're getting our Thrust, we're getting, hopefully, full power Rescue Ace. But beyond that, you know, the meta might still be all kitties and catties. So, that is all for today. I hope you found this very interesting. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you soon. Ciao.